Hello, today I have a pen to show you. Had a little clutch of pens lately that I've purchased, and so this is the last one of that little grouping, and I'm going to share it with you now. So this is a pen I've been looking at for a while. It's fairly new, but I finally went ahead and say, okay, I'm gonna get it. So let me slide it out. I got this from Pen Chalet, and I used my own coupon code, Pen Pixie, and I think it was 10% off. It still works, the coupon code. So if you are interested in a fountain pen or ink or whatever, give Pen Chalet a try, and you can feel free to use my coupon code, Pen Pixie. So anyway, this is definitely not sponsored or anything. I bought this myself, and so it's my own review. They had provided me with some ink and a pen previously and gave me that coupon code, but like I said, it still works. So let's take a look at this pen. I ordered the Lamy LX in rose gold. And so just a brief story or little story to talk about their customer service. I bought the pen, thought I had ordered it in a medium nib, got it, looked at it. It was an extra fine nib, and I knew I definitely didn't want an extra fine nib. And so I emailed customer service, and he was very responsive. I think like just within minutes of sending the email, he emailed me back and offered me several options, and I decided to go ahead and just return the pen to swap the nib because I wanted the special nib that came with this. So excellent customer service, really responsive, very quick. Sent my pen back, they immediately sent it back, and it was great. So excellent customer service, and I think that definitely counts for a lot these days. So the pen comes, so all of that's to say, I've seen the pen already, so if I'm not super excited, it's not because it's not a beautiful pen, it's because the initial excitement wore off when I was like, oh, I got the wrong one, and I'm sure it was my fault, but they were happy to correct it. So it comes in this metal tube, which is kind of an interesting case, and it has like a rubberized middle section that says Lamy, and it just pulls apart, and inside, that was probably my fault, is your pen like this. And so I'm going to go ahead and pull this out of here. So you can see inside, I think, pen just kind of fits in there. I think you could probably put any number of pens if you wanted to just have this really cool carrying case. It's going to say Lamy on it, but here's a TWSBI. TWSBI fits in there. So I mean, if you just wanted like a metal tube carrying case, you could probably use this for anything. Maybe a fancy pen or something. It does look pretty fancy when you pull it out of this thing. I wonder if my vanishing point fits in here. I'm sure it does, but I don't think that you could fit two pins in there. Oh yeah, you could put the vanishing point in there. Oh, wrong cover. Anyway, so you could definitely keep this. I don't know if I will. Not sure, but it's a cool tube. So I'll set that over there. So the pen comes normally like this, and I'm going to go ahead and take it apart and take this little thing out. I've already, like I said, opened it, and I ripped that, so it didn't come ripped. It shows you the 4 different colors that it comes in. So it comes in gold, rose gold. I don't remember, I think this is called ruthenium and palladium. Let's see if it tells us. It says, the Lamy LX is a stylish modern writing instrument with that something special, a functional and elegant companion. Made of aluminum, it features stylish details refined with precious metal and a sophisticated anodized finish, with distinct spring-loaded and refined metal clip and transparent grip. So it doesn't tell us the colors, but I mean, you get an idea. And if I look at that, that is pretty true to color as to what is displayed on this little mini pamphlet. So put that to the side and go ahead and take this little ring off. It comes with a cartridge, and so if you wanted to write with it right away, you just put it in there, push this down, and that little cardboard piece that I pulled out keeps it from puncturing the cartridge. But at this point I could push that all the way down and then the ink would start to flow. I'm not going to use that today because I'm going to show you how to fill it, but it does come with a cartridge, so it is a cartridge converter pen. You can buy a separate converter, which I did, so that you can fill it with your own inks. Another thing that you can do, and I actually have done this with a couple of different pens that I had that I didn't want to buy the converter for, is once this is done, just clean it out, and you can use a syringe to refill it if you don't mind, and just stick it right back in. So that's also an option that you can use. Just get a syringe filler, and then you can refill your inks in here. Just, you know, put the syringe down in there, fill it up, put it back on, you're good to go. So, in fact, now I'm thinking, why didn't I do that? So let me get my converter. I bought a couple of converters, and let's get that. I think it's called, like, the new one's called the Z28 or something like that. You'll see it on their website. On most websites, they'll show you what's the compatible, what is the compatible converter with that pen. But it just looks like this. So a converter, the way this works, if you're not familiar, is you just have this little twist knob, and you see it's pushing that down, and so you would do this, and then when you turn it the other way, it's going to draw the ink up into the converter. And this just sits where the cartridge would, so you would just, and you can see it has these two little plastic dots on it, and those fit into these little plastic parts so that you align it correctly, so it just kind of snaps into that little place. So it would look like this. You dip your nib, which we will of course dip the nib, and you know, fill it up like that. So go ahead and put this in there and turn this, close this up, and then we're going to take a look at the pen and compare it to a Lamy Safari and a Lamy Safari AL. Did I say that right? I think I did. It's so, well, you know, I work full-time, and so when I have a chance to do these videos, it's usually fairly late in the evening after I've worked all day, and then, you know, cooked dinner and done the dishes and, you know, done the chores for the night. And so sometimes my brain just is like, can't even think anymore. And I'm sure you all can relate to that. We're all like way too busy these days. I watched a YouTube video of this guy that built a tiny house in this camper out in the middle of the Colorado wilderness, and I was like, okay, first of all, that's like the least stressed out person I have ever seen, and second of all, sign me up. So anyway, at this point, this is my Lamy Safari collection. I gave my matte charcoal to my husband as his very first fountain pen, and that was my very first fountain pen, which actually still gets views and comments, which I think is great. But at this point, these are my 3 Lamy Safaris. And if you're not familiar with Lamy Safaris, they're super collectible. They come out with all different colors and finishes, and they come out with them, you know, regularly. And so if you're a person that likes to collect, there's so many options out there. Plus, they're relatively inexpensive for what you get. The quality is great. The nibs are great. The nibs are interchangeable, which I'll show you. But it's just a really decent fountain pen for the price, and there's something to match everybody's tastes, because they really do have such different looks. I mean, they have like bright neon ones, and, you know, matte ones, and they have a ton of them. So if you've never used a more, and I do think this is well, you know, relatively speaking, this is, you know, getting yourself into what I would say is like the really decent fountain pen range. This is a good one to try. There are other good ones to try. Pilot Metropolitan, which is half the price of these, I think is still a great pen. And there are some other ones out there. I have a lot of videos on pens, so if you want to check them out, please do. Because most of my pen videos are inexpensive and under probably $30. And then I have a few, you know, more expensive than that. But there are a lot of great pens. I think for under $50, you can get a really $50 and under, you can get a really great pen. And this is one of them. Kind of going off on a tangent. I hope you're willing to come along with me. So, like I said, this is my collection. We're going to look at like some of the similarities and the comparison, or the similarities and the differences of these pens. So they're all made by Lamy. They're all in the Safari. I think they're in the Safari line, even though this is called the LX. It looks like a Safari, basically. This is your basic Safari. This one is the dark lilac finish. And it's not coming across completely true. It looks a little more blue on my camera than it does in real life. It's beautiful. It's matte. It's plastic. It's some sort of a plastic. It has a black clip. And this is just the Lamy style. Once you've seen one, you've seen them all. And it has the window in it, so you can see I have some ink in there. I have Sailor Gentle Ultramarine. The Lamy logo is kind of stamped in, and this is what it looks like. Compare that to the AL. So I guess this is a little bit of a comparison video, but also to just point out the differences. The AL is a little bit more expensive. Same exact pen, except it's aluminum. So you can see it has the silver clip, and instead it's kind of engraved, like etched in there. Got the window. Oh, and let me show you this. On the plastic ones, you have the black plastic top, and the bottom doesn't have anything special. It's just the color of what it is. Like this one's purple. On the top of the AL, you have the black plastic top, and then you have the little plastic bottom, and I would assume they're all black. And then, you know, just the body, the aluminum body color changes. And then we'll uncap them all in just a second. So the LX, it looks the same size to me. You know, I'm holding them. They look pretty much the same. I think this one is kind of an illusion because this one's a little bit lighter of a metal than, well, it is lighter than this one. But some of the differences with the LX are the clip matches the finish. So it is a rose gold clip. It's shiny. It's kind of a lustrous, polished, buffed kind of rose gold finish. It's got the window. Instead, Lamy is shiny and it's raised. Feels like it's, yeah, it feels raised. The top matches, so it's got a shiny metal top. It's not that black plastic. And the bottom is a shiny metal bottom. It's really beautiful. I think it's a really true rose gold color. So if you like that, I think you would like, you know, this. I know some rose golds just don't really, they're just not really rose gold. But I think this one is definitely a true rose gold. So now when we look at the grip in the nib of the pen. So a Lamy Safari grip, if you're not familiar, is going to be this triangular grip. And I think some people just really don't care for it, but I think a lot of people don't mind it, or they get used to it, or they like it. And it's great because it teaches you how to hold this pen, right? You pinch it and grip it in the exact spot that you're supposed to. And I find it very comfortable. It looks like this in the hand, and I don't have particularly long hands. And I wouldn't post it. To me, it's way too long posted, but my husband actually likes it posted. So it has this grip that matches the color, and then the nibs. The nibs come in silver and black. You can order, you know, whichever color you like. The dark lilac came with black, and it looks like this. You see, it's kind of, it's got Lamy in it. It says a medium nib, and it's that dark finish. These nibs are interchangeable, and I'll show you. I'm not going to pull it off this one just because this one has ink in it. So that's what just like the normal one looks like. Some of them come with silver, some of them come with black nibs. The All-Star has a clear grip section where you can kind of see the feed and a little bit of the guts of the pen. And here's what a silver Lamy nib looks like. What is this one? This one's a, what is this? I can't even read it. I think it's a fine. Oh, it's a fine. So this one's a fine. I actually have, I think most of the sizes of Lamy nibs. They make a range of sizes, and I have a video on that, but they don't all come in all of them don't come in black and silver. All of them come in silver, but not all of them come in black. But they're all interchangeable, so all you have to do is just slide this nib off. So if you buy yourself, well, that's another reason I think why people like Lamy Safari. If you buy yourself the range of nibs, you really have a ton of different writing options. They have stub nibs, they have, or like italic nibs, I guess, and then they have, extra fine all the way through broad, and then they've got like 1.1, 1.5, and 1.9 millimeter italic nibs, and you just, interchange them like this. You just pop them on and pop them off. So, I mean, if you had the range of nibs, which are relatively inexpensive, I think they're around $12-ish, depending on where you get them. If you invest in one of the pen bodies that you like, and you invest in some of the nibs, you're set. So, this is what the All-Star looks like, and it came with a silver nib. And now to give you the idea what the LX looks like. So it has that same smoky clear plastic grip where you can see the guts of the pen, same guts, but notice the nib. So I'll show you the dark nib, or the black nib, that's traditional with Lamy, and then the LX. There is a difference, right? It's a design difference. I haven't written with it yet, so I don't know if it's a different feel, but it's a design difference. And to me, the difference was significant enough that I wanted to have a nib that, was the LX nib. So it's got that pattern on it, and I think that the engraving is just more prominent. However, or not however, but even so, even though it's different, this is still an interchangeable nib. So I could just, oops, pop it off, and there's my pen, here's my nib, and I could put whatever size nib I wanted. So even though the LX has these special nibs, if I wanted to put on a stub italic nib, I could. It would just be silver. When I unscrew the pen, like I did before, you see that we have the window, and it just has the cartridge converter. Just like any of the other ones, they all take the same cartridges and converters. And that's it. It's your basic Lamy Safari build. It's just a different special finish, and it's a different nib, a little bit different on the ends, and a different clip. I think overall, though, it does seem fancier to me, and I'm not sure why. I don't know if it's because it's, I don't know. It does seem a little bit fancier to me. Like I said, I only have 4 to compare because I do have the matte black or the matte charcoal finish one. But this one just seems a little nicer. This lustrous finish, the color, the clip. This is actually just a really nice touch. So I kind of wanted to do like an overview comparing all the different, the 3 different types, in case you're not familiar or you are interested. But now let's focus on this one. So this is how it fits in my hand, and I love this color. Rose gold is so popular right now, which makes me really happy because I love rose gold. So it fits really comfortably in my hand, just like the other Lamys. I would say that this grip is just a little bit, the edges are a little bit harder than the regular Safari, and I don't know if it's just because of this plastic material, but it seems a little more defined on the edges. I think it looks good. This is a very lightweight pen. All of the Safaris are lightweight, but this is no different. This is a really lightweight pen, so it's easy to hold. They're easy to write with for a really long time, just because they're well balanced and they fit the hand well. If you have a larger hand, you can cap them, and you have that extra space. I think it adds a little too much weight to the end, but to each their own. To give you an idea of the length, it is almost 5.5 inches with the cap on it. Wow, it seems like really dark all of a sudden. That was weird. Let me bring my light a little further. There we go. And without the cap, we're looking at 5 inches approximately. Looking at just kind of the diameter, you can see it's about, if I can stop moving my hands and shaking, 1, 2, 3, what are we looking at? 1, 2, it's about 3/8 of an inch. Sorry, I have to count. So, decent sized pen. I think it's beautiful. This is the same aluminum finish as the AL, and I think now we need to write with it. So I'm going to ink this up with one of my favorite inks, Monteverde Purple. It's one of my favorites so much that I bought the big bottle. And I don't have very many big bottles of ink. And I was thinking about putting Sailor Gentle Ultramarine in there, but I already have that in like 3 pens. I need a different color. So, if you've never filled up a fountain pen, or you've never filled it up with never filled up a cartridge converter like this, rather, what you want to do is make sure you have some paper towel or tissue handy, a nice flat surface, and go ahead and make sure that this is pushed down. You can see that those little plastic balls are right in that little notch. And so what I'm going to do is twist this all the way down. There's a couple ways I could do this. I can do it like this, or I can fill it with a syringe. I will say over time, I prefer to dip the nib because then it's ready to write immediately. If you fill with the syringe, none of this is immersed in ink. So it takes a while for all of the ink to start to travel through the feed and then down through the nib. The benefits of filling with the syringe are it's usually not messy. And let's say that you have an ink sample or a very small amount of ink, you can get every last drop and just squirt it right into this converter, pop the converter on, and then just let the ink kind of flow and work its way down through the feed and the nib. But if you have enough ink, I prefer to dip the nib. That way, when you're filling it up, you're drawing all the ink up through the feed. You don't have to wait for it to work its way through, which can take a while sometimes. And then, you're drawing it through. And the other thing to think about, whether you need to use a syringe or not, is the nib and how far down you need to go in the ink. You're going to fill in at the feeder hole, and every fountain pen's feeder hole is in a different place. And so, if you cannot dip the nib past the feeder hole, you're not going to be able to fill it up very easily. So that might be another reason why you need to get a syringe. But I have enough ink, and I know I can fill this, so I'm going to do it. So all I've done is I've pushed turned the knob so the plunger is all the way down at the bottom. I'm going to take this and make sure that I dip past the feeder hole. And so I'm just going to dip straight down. And I'm going to start twisting up, and we should see ink draw up into the cartridge, or the converter rather, as I draw up. And there's some in there. Depending on how much you have, it may or may not fill up all the way, but I have like this much in there, so that's plenty for me. So now I'm going to kind of wipe it off. I have some tissue here. Oops. Oh my gosh. It gets messy even when you're trying to be really careful. So I'm just wiping off anywhere where I might have some ink. Forgive the fingers in the way, but it's got to be this way because I really don't want ink on my hands at this point, but it might happen. Immediately cap your ink, even though this is a very steady bottle on a very steady surface. I don't trust myself. So you see I have ink in there. You can see it right there. It may not fill all the way to the top. If that's important to you, then you may have to do it a couple times or try it out. It's not that important to me at this point because I just want to test out the nib. So I'm using ARC notebook paper like usual for the sample. Hopefully that doesn't tip over. Okay, so let's try this out. This is, I have to get my hand ready. Wow. Lamy. It's not a safari. It seems like a safari. Lamy LX in rose gold. Feels good. Let's start to write a little bit and talk about it as we write. So immediately I noticed there was no hard starts. This is the very first time I'm using the pen. I know a lot of people clean the pen the first time. I don't, because I know they test the pens and then they have like the oils or whatever. I don't. So no hard starts. At this point, no skipping. It looks like even ink flow with a consistent line width. Oops. This this is requiring very little pressure, if any, to produce ink flow. Very nice. Let's think about this nib. So the nib is a medium Lamy nib. It is, it's actually pretty darn smooth. It's not scratchy at all. There is feedback, so feedback is there, but not in a scratchy way. So when I say that, I mean that this doesn't, what is that? This doesn't feel like glassy smooth. But it is smooth. So this is not going to be like, you know, just gliding across the paper. You do feel, you know, some resistance, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes people don't like that glassy smooth because it's like there is no feedback, right? Like there's no what, you know, like the universe, push and pull. There's no opposite to what you're doing. You're pushing and there's like nothing, you know, and you're not getting anything back. But it lays down a consistent line width for sure, and the ink flow is not an issue. So the ink flow is not an issue because, well, because it's not in this pen, I guess, and immediately it's not an issue because I drew the ink up through the feeder hole. If I had put it in with a syringe, we might have had to wait a while, or I might have had to like do some finagling and push that ink down or whatever. Let's see. This doesn't seem like, this seems like this seems pretty balanced ink flow, and what I mean by that is it doesn't feel, it's not particularly wet or dry. That was a little skippy right there. Did you see that? I went to do that and it skipped just a little bit. It's not particularly wet or dry, even with the medium nib, which is a little bit larger. You can see it was there for a couple seconds, but not too bad. like it. It feels like a decent medium, oops, Lamy nib. I need an I in that word. Yeah, it's a decent pen. Let's see. Let's try to do some variation. And I don't like to push too hard because I don't want to like spring the tines apart or anything like that. But let's just do. So this is like no pressure at all. Now I'm going to put a little more pressure, a little more pressure, and that's about all I feel comfortable as far as putting pressure. So you can get slight variation, but this is definitely not meant to be a flex nib. So I wouldn't expect it to be. And here's just a sample of how it looked. I mean, it was pretty even ink flow. Let's try going just horizontally, vertically, on the diagonal. Yeah, no ink flow problems in any way. Because I see other people do it, let's do these. I think it's because they're doing like a flex thing on the way down, but this isn't really a flex nib. There's my fancy pants curly cues. Let's try and see how it does with just laying down some ink. So definitely any place that it's skipping, it's because I don't have a completely even hand. But it has no problem just laying the ink down, not an issue. I'm going to try to write really fast. I'm not very, well, let's see. Okay, that was very fast for me. I didn't even process what I'm doing. The point of that, and as sloppy as it is absolutely no problem keeping up, no problem with any kind of skipping. So overall, I think the nib is a decent nib. It's what you would come to expect from Lamy. Not the best, definitely not the worst. Really decent for the price. And this is the same nib that you would get on the lowest end of the Lamy Safari line or on the LX. So I could take this and I could put this nib on any other Lamy Safari that I have and it would fit. With the LX, you're definitely paying for the finish and the little details like the different nib style, the matching clip, the ends, and then the color choices. But do I think it's worth the extra money? I think if you like the way that it looks, if you know you like a Lamy Safari style pen and you like the way this looks and you like the different little accents, then yeah, I think it's worth it because you would like it. If you're into those metal finishes, why not? I'm trying to remember how much this pen was because in all the sending back and forth, it's been a little while. I want to say that this pen was like in the 60s, which is definitely a step up from the AL and just the regular Lamy Safari, which you can get for in the 30s, maybe even in the 20s. But it's been a long time since I bought just regular Lamy Safari. But do I think that this is worth that much? I really like this finish. I like this color, and I think it's really pretty. And I think that I knew that the nib quality was going to be decent, and I was going to be happy with that. That's probably one of the most important things. And then the other thing you're paying for is just the looks, and I do think it's pretty. And I know that I'll like this pen, I'll enjoy using it. And it's unique to everything else I have. I don't have anything that has a finish like this, and I think this is really pretty. So overall, and you can see the ink in there, you can see that, there you go, you can see the ink. So that's one of the nice things about this, even though it's not a demonstrator, it's a mini demonstrator, right? You can kind of keep track of how much ink you have in there. But overall, I think this is a really pretty pen. Little details make it different, and I say if you know that you like the Lamy nibs, and you like the look of this line, why not? I don't think you're going to be disappointed because the nibs are the same, and you already liked how it looked. So I don't know if it warrants that much more of a price increase, but I thought it was beautiful and I'm pretty happy with it. So I hope that you enjoyed this comparison slash review, and if you have any questions, of course, please leave them in the comments below. I really appreciate your guys' support and thumbs up or whatever you want to do. But I just really enjoy sharing these things with you, and the fact that you guys interact with me is awesome. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.